The Last of Us Part 1 just added FSR 3 plus frame gen. So how does it work on the ROG Ally? Is it actually better now? Let's find out. Alright guys, we're playing at 1080p here. Low settings. No FSR at first, but I'll enable it as we go through. So again, 1080p. VRAM is at 6 gigs, even though it says it's at 2 gigs. So keep that in mind. And yeah, 1080p, no upscaling. But as you can see, frame gen is there now. And for graphics, it's the low settings. With some settings, I guess, increased. Let's do a quick run without any upscaling and then come back through. With FSR active, this is a great game, man. And we're getting the second, or part 2, in a few months as well on PC. And it's actually well priced, to be honest. It is lower than the first part. So over here in Oz, it's like 70 bucks, I think, for part 2, which is honestly pretty fair.
There we go.
And
Stretch,
weirdly, actually, for the Sony games, Spider-Man 2 is coming out in, I think, 5 days, or it's supposed to come out in 5 days, and you can't pre-order, no system requirements. It is just weird. I think it might get delayed, to be honest. So you guys down here, falling down to the low 20s. Game is, I guess, playable for some, but not ideal, of course. But it does look gorgeous, even under low settings. Yep. Honestly, this might happen again with FSR active as well. I think it crashed, actually. Yeah, the Ally didn't like that. It was frozen for a good, I think, 15 seconds there. But I'm back into the game again, FSR 3 active, and frame gen is on as well. Let's see how we go now. I'm gonna guess probably, 60 FPS ideally, but I guess let's see. I think for the Ally, honestly, I would pick 900p or 720p. Playing at 1080p is nice and all, but on the built-in screen, you can't tell the difference between 1080p and 100p. But yeah, 60 FPS, guys, that is fantastic. Even the 70s looking at a wall. And for the gameplay and the movement, it feels great. I can't feel any extra input lag. It is a third-person game, so it's not as obvious on a controller, but still, it feels fine. And for the graphics, guys, wow. It looks great, honestly. And down here into the low to mid 50s instead of the low 20s. It's like a 30 FPS increase. And again, I mean, in the water, it isn't as good, to be honest. The effects ghost, and for example, Joel has a weird, I guess, ghosting effect as you move around. In the water, that is. But other than that, doing pretty good actually. 60 FPS down into the low to mid 50s. Still though, I think it's overkill for the built-in screen. But if you're playing on a TV or a bigger screen, then this is a great choice. Yeah, the hair, for example, does ghost when you move quickly. So keep that in mind. It isn't perfect, but honestly, it's pretty impressive, to be honest. For the Ally, playing at 1080p, this is pretty amazing. Man, FSR 3 and DLSS are both so clutch. Alright, we've had one stutter so far. 2 stutters there. See ya. Easy headshots, left and right. The Ally just used the night mode there. I had to disable it. We're gonna have a yellow filter on the screen. So yeah guys, that is pretty much it for 1080p. I think it looks great. Can't fall below 60 FPS, but still, it is playable. But realistically, again, I would leave this for a bigger screen or a TV. Not really worth using it on the Ally screen. Okay, let's back out, play 900p, 30 watts, and try it again. Yeah, 900p guys, 30 watts, no FSR, no frame gen. Let's see how we go now. I'm gonna guess 30 FPS in the lake scene. I mean, even now it is falling below it, but I guess we'll see in a second how it goes. Get the spin real quick. It's crazy how this is a PS3 game. The PS3 is like peak for exclusives, like great exclusives. Down here, mid 20s and the high 20s. So like a 4 FPS increase from 1080p.
It looks like it's shallow on the right side.
It's feeling a bit more slow-mo, to be honest, more than anything. Like micro stutters, stuff like that, but I guess it is playable. It is pretty close to 30 FPS here. But the combat and all that, I don't know. If you have aim assist enabled, it might be okay as well, actually. FSR 3 active with frame gen as well.
Keep moving, kid.
We're sitting into the mid 60s here instead of what, high 20s and the low 30s. You're getting a 30 FPS increase and even a 40 FPS increase here. Stop blocking me, please. And for the graphics, honestly, pretty sharp. And looks good enough, I would say. Like, even for a TV, this does look pretty good. I can't even lie. It's definitely possible. Alright, down here. The FPS falls down into the low 60s again. High 50s even. So like what? A 5 FPS increase or a 10 FPS increase here from before at 1080p. Again, same issues with the ghosting. It isn't great, but for me, the trade-off is definitely worth it. It's a 40 FPS increase for a bit of ghosting. I mean, it's definitely worth it. I think, what, 2 years ago was it, when this game came out on PC? It was like hard to get 30 FPS on a Steam Deck. Now with FrameGen active, should be good all around, on the Steam Deck and on the Ally, of course. FSR 3 is coming in clutch, man. Gotta love FSR. So yeah, a more stable 60 from before. And a minor downgrade in sharpness and clarity. Cool. Let's back out, guys. Play at 720p, 30 watts again, and then afterwards we'll do 15 watts as well. Alright, see you guys there. There it is, 40 FPS with no FSR or FrameGen. If you don't like upscaling, then yeah, 720p, 30 FPS, 30 watts is definitely the move. Now obviously you can do above 30, but honestly it's best to cap at 30 and have a more stable experience. That was tough to say. And you're right here, we're sitting into the mid-30s instead of what? Like the mid to high 20s from before, and the low 20s from 1080p. So yeah, a stable 30 should be doable at this point without any upscaling. Now the game is definitely softer, so keep that in mind. It isn't as sharp as 900p or 1080p, but again, if you don't like upscaling, then just use this. Definitely playable and looks good enough as well. 720p, 30 watts, FSR active, FrameGen active as well. And bang, sitting at 80 FPS there. High 70s, low 80s. That is fantastic. FSR looks great, man. I can't even lie. It looks fantastic. Like, just playing the game normally, not nitpicking, I can't really see a difference between native and FSR here. Now again, in some areas it is definitely more obvious, but in this section, I can't tell. I can't see the ghosting or any of the, I guess, flickering that happens sometimes. So yeah, looks pretty great, I can't even lie. And yeah, sitting into the mid-70s here, the high 70s even. Like right there, the shadows and the water moving around. Looks worse with FSR, that's for sure. But again, it's just a bunch of small things. Not a massive issue for me. So yeah, just try it out, see what you like more, and go with that instead. But for me, FSR 3 is staying on with FrameGen 2, because can't feel any input delay at all, and the graphics look fine as well to me, so yeah. Okay, let's pause the game here, guys, play at 15 watts, and see if that's playable. I'm gonna guess that it might be, but who knows, right? FrameGen is kind of tricky. And lastly, at 15 watts, FSR 3 active plus FrameGen. Nice. Just barely holding 50 FPS here. Let's see how we go past this section though, because the FPS will fall down. So I'm gonna guess probably 45 FPS here. Let's see.
There we go.
Looking to my left, and there it is, 44, 45. Actually spot on. Yeah, at this point, FSR 3 just looks awful, to be honest. That is just trash.
Like, it looks like it's shallow on the right side.
Seeing some jittering happening here, man. This just looks distracting. So yeah, sadly, for 15 watts, I would just not use FrameGen. Try normal FSR, see if you can get 30 FPS with that, but yeah, FrameGen just isn't it once it falls below, I guess, 50 FPS. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Thanks for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed. I'll see you guys next time for the next video. See you guys there.